On page 5, we have the chapter for the Common Core State Standards. When we look at this chapter, we're going to learn what we need to do when we're teaching students writing according to our Common Core State Standards. But down below, I have research that is going to help direct us to how do we teach students to write? What are the best strategies? This is a pretty difficult task to try to figure out exactly how we teach students to write. And that's why I was inspired by Graham and Perlin. Writing Next is a meta-analysis study. That is a study where empirical evidence is collected. Authors Dr. Stephen Graham from Vanderbilt University and Dr. Dolores Perrin from Columbia University, they conducted this research. They found as many different writing research studies that looked at what strategies increase student achievement in writing the most. Then they pulled those studies together to find an effect size. The closest an effect size can get to a 1, the higher it is, the better the effect size. So if we see a 0.2, that has a very low effect size. A 0.5 is middle range. But if we look at the effect size of their top strategies, you'll see that it's a 0.82 for number 1 and 2. Let's go in now and look at what are these different strategies and then how I implement them in my own instructional program that you'll find here in this manual. As I review the Writing Next research, what I wanted to show you is the effect size and then how I connect that into the instructional strategies and my program that I have in this manual. The number 1 ranked strategy is writing strategies. Now, let me be clear when I talk about writing strategies. What they're telling you in this research is you need to provide direct, systematic instruction to teach your students how to plan their writing, how to revise and edit their writing. So what happens is, for me in the past, when I taught children in my own classroom, I thought that if I just modeled to students how to write, watch me as I'm writing, that they would pick up on that and then they would go try. Well, I found that didn't work many times. After reading this study, I realized I need to be explicit. I need to show children in your brain systematically these are the steps that your brain goes through in order to plan writing. Writing strategies, according to this research, is explicit, direct instruction, showing children this is what your brain needs to do when you learn to write. In order to plan a piece of writing, whether it's narrative, informative, explanatory, or opinion writing, according to your Common Core State Standards, this is how you plan for it. So I need to be explicit, and as students master those steps, I need to increase those skills within their writing through that explicit, direct instruction. So let me show you how I've done that, an example of what you'll see in this manual. I've actually taken the 3 different genres, narrative, informative, explanatory, and opinion. I've taken these 3 different genres and then I've put them in stages of writing. And what these are is that if you start at stage 1, it's a very simple stage where I explicitly show children how to write each one of these genres with steps identified. As you go to the next stage, I add more to the writing with the steps from the previous stage included and new steps added to teach the new skills. So let me give you an example. Right behind me are explicit direct instruction steps that I have posted when I'm teaching narrative writing at a stage 2. You'll learn more about these steps, you'll learn more about these stages as you go through the manual. Just understand that I have identified in these steps what the child needs to do metacognitively in their brain in order to plan a story, information, or opinions. So when we go through and you start seeing all these different steps, you're going to see they're color-coded. They actually identify different parts of the writing and the steps the students need to go through in their brain in order to plan their writing. That is our writing strategies. So I have my specific steps in stages or staged lessons that students learn, and they go up these stages as they master all the steps from each stage. And what do these stages do? They not only teach you metacognitively how to plan your writing, but they also match what you're supposed to do in your Common Core state standards for each of the genres. So you have here, with this first writing strategy, the most effective strategy, explicit direct instructions, and I have that in this manual, the exact steps that you need to teach students as they do this. What effect size does this have? A 0.82. That is a very high effect size. So when you're giving children this explicit direct instruction, you know that this is one of the best strategies you can give your kids to reach those high levels of achievement. We know the effect size is 0.82 for writing strategies. That means that if this strategy is given in a classroom, the consistency and the effectiveness of this strategy, meaning it could be given in many different classrooms and still have the same result and effectiveness and strength. But here's the next real exciting point about writing strategies is not only that it will give a 0.82 effect size, but with slow progressing students, the news is even better. The effect size is 1.02. That's great news for teachers in the classroom because now we know what is going to make a difference for our students and what they need in order to become good writers. Let's continue down the list because I didn't just use this one strategy. I took the suggestion of Graham and Perrin after reading this research to try to combine as many of these strategies as possible when teaching children to write. Then you'll have even a higher effect size. So let's look at number 2. Number 2 is summary writing. Now, summary writing has a 0.82 as well, but we're also looking at writing strategies was ranked number 1 because with slow progressing writers, what do we have? 1.02. We have a 0.82 for our summary writing. When children finish reading narratives, informative explanatory text, they go back and they will summarize that material. That's absolutely critical because it will increase comprehension and writing skills at the same time. So we're looking at summary writing in our process here. How do we do that? Again, summary writing is going to go under our informative explanatory writing, where we're actually going to sequence or identify the most important information in what we've read, and then we're going to write that summary in our own words. So we know that summary writing is pulling out the most important information, the big idea of what you've read. In my process here, I have an activity called lecture notes. Lecture notes will provide the big idea and it will provide the most important information that students are going to learn. It is a summary of what they are going to learn. It's a front-loading activity, and it also can be an activity that students use when they are learning how to summarize. This is a fabulous, engaging activity that you can use for your science, social studies, or you could use it also in your language arts. Let's go to number 3. Number 3 deals with collaborative writing as a strategy, when students are working together to plan, to draft, to revise and edit their work in small groups or as partners. This activity is absolutely essential. We know that learning is not an isolated activity. Writing is not an isolated activity. We want students to plan, talk, write, and publish, revise and edit and publish their work. And in this process, we want to explicitly walk students through the writing strategies and gradually release them so that they are using those strategies on their own. Well, we can't go from a high level of scaffolding to now try it on your own. We want to gradually release them. Collaborative writing is a fabulous tool that's used throughout this process. Whether I'm in whole group lessons, we are collaborating. Whether the students are slowly released to table groups or partner work, they're collaborating to where they finally will start writing more independently on their own. Collaborative writing is essential in my process of planning and talking, writing, revising and editing, and finally publishing your work. The fourth strategy, which has a 0.7 effect rate, is showing children specific products and goals. And basically what this is showing them a benchmark paper, what you would like their writing to look like, as well as having descriptors that actually describe each part of that writing. Their organization, the content, down at the sentence level, grammar, mechanics, you want all those descriptors. Here's the good news. You can go to my website and download my K6 Program Overview and Assessment Guide. This assessment and program overview guide will actually take you to all three genres: narrative, informative explanatory, and opinion writing, and show you at each one of my stages of writing what grade level it's for. It will have a planning sheet, a benchmark piece of writing of a child's writing, as well as descriptors under content organization, sentences, grammar, and mechanics. Now you can use this so that you can show children exactly what you expect from them at each one of my stages of writing.